People always ask, where did we get the name Blue Water Climate Control? When a Navy ship casts off lines, exits the harbor, and loses sight of land, that's blue water sailing. It takes a team of people to do that. Tireless work, focus, and attention to detail. So much of starting a business is just like that. After it's done, you get filled with deep satisfaction for accomplishing something. And it's quickly followed by, now the real work begins. We're Blue Water Climate Control.
What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube, Twitter, and volunteerroadshow.com? We're here with the host of the Cold World podcast, Jeff Coleman, and former VFL and NFL player Ray Alston. Ray Alston is a former NFL player for the Chicago Bears. He is also established actor and model. I can see that. He's a model, becoming Ariat International's official model in 2019. Austin is also co-founder of the fan-controlled football sports and entertainment, the latest hot mobile sports technology platform. FCF is the world's first fan-run pro sports and entertainment company. Fan-controlled football has received a great amount of press, including publications from GQ, Slate Magazine, Sports Illustrated, Pardon the Interruption, Fox Sports, Fortune, Forbes, New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. Ray Austin's show no signs of slowing down anytime soon. So, Ray, welcome to the Cold World podcast. Take it away, JC.
Man, that is, I sit here because I know a lot of this. So I wanted to sit back and hear the bio. I didn't want to read it myself. I just wanted to take it in because this brother is so impressive, man. And I'm so proud of him and so proud to know him. And he's one of these people that, at school, you can see, some people, he's blessed with talent. But when you see the hard work he puts in, you see it on Saturdays, you saw it on Sundays. But I saw what it took to get him there and what he put out. And when you have people like him, that's your leaders, that's your better players, that's some of the best players on the team, the way he works, you all have to kind of work to follow along. And I can see one reason the format that we have is to, one, highlight the great work that our volunteer family is doing, but to also show some of our other brothers and sisters, a way and how you got there to do different things. Ray he's a Renaissance man. We'll be sitting at home and watching TV and a commercial come on, and I start my wife. It's like, there he goes. She's like, I know, because you told me so many times. But he does so much, and he does so many things, and he does it well. And he's just a great example to try to follow, and just a great person and a great person to know. So I wanted to get him on. We haven't done the Cold World podcast in a while. We've been on a little bit of hiatus, but when I came back, I wanted to come back with Ray. So that's definitely, I'm going to shut up, and I really just want to sit back and listen to what you have to say today. I want to see it. Yeah.
I ain't got nothing to say, man. I ain't got nothing to say.
You got well, let's talk. Let's see. Well, we want to start off because it's the thing that's most fresh on my mind. And I remember, I've seen this journey along the way with the Fan Control Football League. When we were doing a lot of things, when we were, you hit me up in Catfish, you can hear, I get the inbox and I see the big dog. I was like, all right. He's like, big dog, can you help me out with an intro? We need a song. I was like, whatever you need. So I've seen this years in development, and to finally see it come to fruition, man, it's like seeing the labor pains and seeing everybody. Now you see the baby. Now I'm ready to see it grow up. So let's talk about that. That's the most thing that's fresh on my mind.
Yeah, man. I mean, what's so funny? I remember that. I remember I called you about the song. That's how long it's been.
When you gave it to me, as soon as you gave it to me, I always know somebody that knows somebody. I sent it to him at like 2 a.m. He's like, I woke up at like 7:30. He'd already had it sent it back in my inbox, and I sent it right over to you. The song, and I think it was for the Salt Lake team or one of the teams.
Yeah, Salt Lake team. Yep. Yeah. It is. That is. Man, it's been that long, and it's so funny because we, as you doing something, you when you look back, you go, man, wow, it's been that long. And I guess to give you a little background on it, I was in Chicago acting. I was retired playing football there. Spent a little time with Green Bay, not too much, but came back to Chicago because felt like home, there. And I came up with an idea for like fans to like run a football team. So I went to a buddy of mine semi-pro football game, and I'm sitting up in the stands, and I'm like, you know, they're playing and the coach is just calling horrible plays. And I'm sitting there like on my phone and I'm texting him because it's semi-pro because I'm texting him. So I'm like, yo, what is your coach doing, man? Tell him to call this. Tell him to call that. And so he wasn't responding. So I went down after the game to talk to the players and, you know, give my little spiel and whatnot. And I said, man, I was like, Coach, you mind staying and running some football plays for me? And he was like, all right, okay, cool. I told the other team to stay. So I went right back up in the stands because I had to see it from how I was thinking about it. So I text him, run a play action pass, run a sweep, run a dive. And he just kept moving the ball. And I'm sitting here like, I was like, I got something. So boom, went home and started working on it. Started putting my blueprint together, use the same blueprint in football where you just work hard and just put that blueprint down. And I'm drawing it up, trying to figure out how to beta test an app, how to, develop an app. So I'm reading all this stuff. I end up just walking the streets of Chicago trying to find the right people to get involved with it. Ran into a really great guy that understood technology and apps. And he showed me how to develop an app that allowed me to call 4 plays in 13 seconds. And so I was working on it. Ran out of money. Was like, what you gonna do? You got a good idea what you're gonna do with it. So I let it sit, and then I ran into one of my homeboys, one of my favorite, one of my good friends, Tony Parrish, played with the Bears with me, safety, and just sitting down there having drinks. Man, he was like, "Man, what you working on, dude?" And I was just like, I might as well tell him. Why not? Told him about it, and Tony, I love him so much because he told me how it was not going to work. He was like, man, that's not going to work, bro. You're going to have to do this. And everything he told me was what I need. I felt like Morpheus it was like we was in Matrix. I was told the right things to keep it going, So anyway, he introduced me to my actually co-founder and CEO now. He owned an arena football team and he had the same idea. And I'm sitting there like, oh man, somebody else has got this idea. And I'm like, he got a little money. And I'm like kind of tripping a little bit. But he was like, no, let's meet. Let's rap. I fly up to LA. He already had met with 2 other guys that had the same similar idea. None of us knew each other. We sitting around at a circle, like sitting there talking, and we just like look at each other and like, let's do it. Like, why compete? We got all the right ingredients right here. Let's do it. And that was 7 years ago, man. So we raised $2 million, man, and went out and bought an indoor football team. And we just allowed the fans to run the whole organization. We let the fans pick the logo, the name, the jerseys, the location, the coaches. I did interviews. This was before Zoom was even big 7 years ago. We did interviews with coaches and let the fans choose which coach they liked the most. We went.
Can I tell you real quick why that's such a great idea and why I think it's going to be so successful? Because you're hitting on 3 things. People love to play sports on video games. Yeah. You have the Monday morning quarterbacks, and then you have the fantasy leaguers. It gives you everything that you're thinking about that you want to do, that you can control in a real football league. That's the draw for it.
And Jeff, I had made this statement to my co-founders in the company last night on a phone call. I was like, we're like hip hop. Hip hop is just not music; it's a culture. There's different things in it. When hip hop came out, everybody was trying to figure out how they fit in. Do they beatbox? Do they break dance? Do they DJ? Do they graffiti? And it's like that's what the fan control football is. I can come in, I can call plays. Yeah. I can be a part of the marketing side. I can just be a part of doing this part of the company. And that's what we've kind of created, which has been so great. So after that, we played in the indoor football team with that team, and that team did like 5-12. But we won 5 games, bro. Fans won. So we proved out that this could actually work. So the pandemic hit. And, this entire time, people have been telling us like, man, how that wasn't going to work. That didn't make any sense. Who's ever going to watch sports with fans not in the stands? And so then the pandemic hits. And so now you're stuck with now that's the only way sports can be watched, So we ended up, we've always had the idea of, sport in the box. That's always been let's compress the sport. Let's change a couple of the rules. Let's not try to make it completely football. So everybody's trying to compare you to the NFL, because that's why a lot of the leagues don't last. Everybody's trying to do the traditional same blueprint as the NFL. You can't. The NFL has billions and billions of dollars behind them. Even with the XFL, when they first came back out the second time, they had over $300 million and they still failed.
Yeah.
The blueprint of the traditional sports and the arena sports have changed. So we're looking to change that. So we had all 4 teams in the same location. We shared all the different types of resources, from the athletic trainer to the strength coach. So we ended up recruiting and scouting all over the country, 120 players, bringing them down to Duluth, Georgia. And we had what we call our own bubble. So we had the Hilton. We rented out an entire Hilton. There were no other guests in there except for our players, our coaches, our staff, and our production company. And the players could only go from the hotel to practice, the hotel to the stadium. That's it. So we had one COVID outbreak. We had the players test 3 times a week. We had one COVID outbreak that we were able to isolate, and we had no other problems, no other issues the entire season.
And I know that's because the NBA, I know, laid the groundwork and the template for that bubble, and I think that, and it worked. I think a lot of other entities could have and should have used it over the last year, and it's great to see that you guys are innovating and thinking ahead to be able to do that. Another thing that I love about the league, because one thing and I love to see this amongst younger people, amongst young Black people are investing more now, and it stocks in cryptocurrency. But you could also invest in your team.
Yeah.
Talk about that piece in the ownership stake and how you can do that. I love that part of it.
Yeah, that took a while, because we always had that idea, especially when I played for Green Bay for a while, and everybody says, the Green Bay Packers, the community owns the league. They just get a piece of paper. That's it. They go to all the meetings and whatnot. But we were like, man, how can we really, some people don't want to call plays. Some people don't want to watch football, but some people want to be on the entrepreneur side or the investing side. So we partnered up with Republic.co, which is an amazing site. If you guys haven't been in there, it's a great site for people who are wanting to get into investing in newer companies that are coming out. You can get in on the right in the ground floor, which is great. And when these companies end up going public and selling, that's when you get your investment back. So we ended up having all 4 teams put up I think we put up $1 million worth of equity within the four teams, and the teams got so popular now that we had to move it up to 500. So each team probably is already having the investment of $400,000 probably in each team right now, which is amazing. And a thing I haven't been able to mention, but instead of having the traditional sport of, the Chicago Bears or the New York Jets or the University of Tennessee, your fanship basically comes with your demographic. We had to change that. So what we decided to do, especially because all 4 teams were going to be together, we decided to put different team owners, celebrities, and influencers on each team. So on each team, we have somebody that's a gamer. We've got a celebrity football player. We've got some type of influencer. We've got, the Glacier Boys are owned by Quavo and Richard Sherman, and Destroying, one of the hottest social influencers out there. Then you've got the Beast that is owned by Marshawn Lynch and Renee Montgomery, So we wanted our teams to be very diverse, and the fans that were a part of those teams. But again, there are different types of things that you can get involved in. So I was really happy that we were allowing the fans to invest in the teams.
Yeah, it's great. And I can see as you talk through that, because, gaming with the teams, I can see this on Patreon and Twitch, people actually doing fan control on some of these other formats while they're actually watching the game. And this has so much potential to it. It has, we're all rooting for success, but I think the work you put in and just the idea itself is just going to land to the longevity and the success of it, man. And like I said, I'm just really happy for you.
Thanks, man. It's so great to see the fans have this underground fanship about what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there are people across the country, graffitiing murals of our logos. There's like 37 different fan pages from each one of the teams, and
that's organic. Yeah,
and it's great because it seems like, again, you don't have to call plays, but you still find a place to fit in the fan control football. So, you might want to be a part of, the logo designing and the customing of the jerseys and stuff like that. So that's what's so great about it. The fans are literally changing the rules that we have during the game.
And when it's organic like that, I think it just, again, leads to the potential just for the longevity of it. When the people do it, when it's not forced down their throats like we did with some of these other leagues, when it's organic like that, it just means something else.
Yeah.
So this is getting to that story. And this is where I want to tie in, talking again to our brothers and sisters about that whole process. We see it out there right now, but it took you 7 years. It didn't even click with me that it had been that long. It took 7 years. But I had a team talk earlier this week. I was talking to some youth, and it's one of those things to where you just hit on it. It's like when I'm working on something like that, people feel like sometimes they may have failed or they lost, and I tell them it's like I never feel like I lost, but if I still have a chance to get it right, I'm just not winning yet. It's just like I'm not winning right now. I didn't lose, I'm just not winning right now. Yep. And finding a different way and being adaptable to what you're dealing with. And having that tenacity to go after what you want. And I see some parallels, and just like, you had to be adaptable along the way to get that across the finish line. It's like, when you're in school, you play safety. Then, to get the best players on the field, they move you to the corner. You had to be adaptable to do that. And you had to do what it took to. How do you make that connect? What about your sports and your athletic career did you draw on for business, whether it, with your modeling career or whatever it is? Well, how does that play a part in what you do?
Man, you said the magic word to me, and Coach Ramsey used to always say this about me, and when I always use that word tenacity, and it's like, I take that same blueprint in everything I did. You are a teammate of mine, so you knew my work ethic, and my work ethic started physically, and it always does. Everything that I've ever done, my body has to be in a certain place, because if my body's in a certain place, my mind's gonna be in a certain place. That's just always how I've been. I've always felt like, I don't know about you, but I felt like if I was in the best shape, I was gonna play great. I just was. And so I feel in life, I'm the same way. I'm like, man, if I keep myself, my body in a good place, then my mind's gonna be in a good place. That's always my number one. But man, if you really want something, man, it's the endurance. A lot of people just don't have the endurance it takes. I think everybody wants everything like right now. If you think about how long it took you to get to college to play ball, it took you since you was 8 years old. It took me since 8 years old to make it into the NFL. You know what I mean? A lot of people look at my resume when it comes to the acting and the modeling and stuff and say, man, we've done all these shows. Man, I had to do so much. They're like, man, you're always on TV. We see all the commercials you get. You guys don't see all the ones that I don't.
That's right. That's right.
There's a big difference. And you have to have that understanding that failure and mistakes are a part of the plan, because everybody always talks about the success of everything. I look at all the failure, because the failure is really what makes or has made me to being the person that I am. I mean, I was never a guy that asked people for money. That's hard. It's hard. It's a pride thing. It's like, I can do this. And you can't do a big idea by yourself. You just can't. You're not equipped to do all those necessary things. So you have to put a team around. You know how it is. We playing cover 2. My only job is to have the flats and the curls.
That's right.
If I got the flats and the curl, he got the half, then we done did our job. All I got to do is sink underneath this square end, and then we done did our job. And that's where the success comes. But it's a team thing. And the one thing I can say about the league that we have, my team is amazing. The type of people that we put around here, the skillful and the smart people that we put around this company, like, I can't be more thrilled, because every time I get on the phone and every time I'm doing something, I'm always learning from other people. Yeah. There's not a lot of football guys in this company. And that's great, because I'm not talking football all day long. I'm talking tech. I'm talking innovation. I'm talking crypto. I'm talking, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about conversations that I don't know. And so I'm glad that we were able to put people around us to help us grow, individually, but as a whole too.
Yeah, that's good, because you said a bunch right there, because I'm a project manager now by trade. That's what I do. And the lessons learned piece of it, that when we focus on it, we have this thing called when we recap a project or a phase of a project, we go in and we have a lessons learned or opportunities. We talk about what went well and what went wrong and things we can fix. I tend to lean into the what went wrong, because that's where you find your biggest margins to get it right the next time. Yeah, you can leverage what you did right, but finding the things where you may have tripped up, where you failed. And again, I don't feel like I lost because we got it right. Now, when we go to this next thing, all those things that we looked at as negatives, we're going to turn those things into positives. And I love what you said about your team too, because I find people, when I pull together a team, I look for everybody that I think is smarter than me, that can do the things that I can't do. And just because we all play a part. And I've talked to people about, well, they said, well, I can't do certain things. And I tell them, I don't want you to do those things, because I want you to do this. And I have somebody else for that. So that's one of those things to where, building that team.
And that's the hardest thing, bro. Like, I mean, think even in football, you could be a junior and then a freshman come in and he already into the group, and you're like, whoa, but it's because you gotta find the right people on the team. Right. You gotta put the right people on the field. And for me, which was so great, was like when we first started, you feel like you gotta do everything. And then when that's taken away from you because now you're growing, you get a little offended by it. But then you start thinking, man, no, they need me to do this.
Right.
And if I do this right and I do this correct, that's going to make this entire thing better. And that was hard for me because we were like, man, I'm like, well, I should be over this. I should be a part of that. They're like, guess what, man? We don't need you there anymore. You did a great job, but we need you to do this, and understanding we're putting more tools in the toolbox. That's all we're doing. We put more tools in the toolbox. We're getting more prepared to do it on a bigger scale. And you got to sometimes think like that, like, oh, we're growing. That's right. We're growing. Not just me, but we're growing.
So I think that's a really good point to stop. And I'm going to ask him to put you on the spot right now. I just want to call this part one. There's so much I want to dive into with this, and we can do it over time. And because I want to do the prequel to this. We want to go back to the pre, the Ray Austin story, because again, I know some of it, and I think whatever you want to share, I think it'll be the people want to hear that, and I think again, our peers would like to hear that, because to see the road you traveled to get there. So I want to call this part one, and I want to see if I can get you back so we can continue this conversation.
100% for the dog. You got it.
All right, man. I appreciate you, brother, and I appreciate Catfish for getting us started today. He does such a great job making me look halfway decent in doing this. So I always appreciate him, and I definitely appreciate you taking out the time, because I know how much you're stretched in and limited. So I appreciate you, brother.
Always got time for the brothers, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll get this out to you. And, of course, we're going to follow this up again. Thank you for tuning in to the Cold World Podcast. We'll talk to you soon.
We are Blue Water Climate Control. From heating and AC installation and repair, commercial or residential, when you choose Blue Water Climate Control, we offer solutions, not a sales pitch. Blue Water Climate Control. Veteran-owned, superior.